All right, everyone. Welcome to Two Guys, One Swamp, the podcast. We're your hosts, Austin and Trey. We're excited to be with you today. Glad you're joining us. All right, man. We got a lot to get into, a lot to talk about. A lot's happened over the past week. We've seen a lot of new staffing hires, and we've seen now most of the staff, on the field staff, filled out. And we have now an O-line coach who, in my opinion, might be the best one we've had in quite a long time, Phil Troutwine from Penn State. Um, just a quick note on him: 39 all-conference O-linemen since he became an offensive line coach, which is incredible. I can't even think of have we ever even had 39 all-conference O-linemen in our history?
In our history, maybe.
Maybe,
No,
but
let me look that up. Let me see how many.
that is a really impressive number. And in addition to that, he's had seven offensive linemen drafted since joining Penn State in 2020 with three first round picks. Another very impressive stat. The guy just gets dudes and develops dudes, I would say. Wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's done an exceptional job at Penn State. And yeah, in the last 3 years, um, have been his highest drafted prospects. Uh, in the first round in 2024, Olufashanu, and then two more in 2023 and 2024, taken in the second and third rounds as well. So yeah, you can really see that the development is evident. And so yeah, I completely agree. I think he's easily the best offensive line coach we've had since. I mean, I'm sure at least since
Adazio,
Meyer
probably.
was here. I'm not even sure who the O line coach was when Meyer was here.
I believe it was mostly Steve Adazio who went
Oh
on to
yeah.
coach Boston College for a while.
Okay.
Very good O-line coach, very old school.
Hmm.
And actually coach Phil Troutwine, full circle moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a fantastic hire. I can't believe it took this long to get him back to Gainesville since he's been coaching since 2018 now.
Hmm.
I think Napier should have taken a good hard look at him, especially when the O line was having troubles. But he didn't want to fire his buddy Sale, so
Yeah.
he died by that sword. Um, Quarterbacks coach Brandon Harris from UCF, a young guy, son of Tim Ice Harris, who was a legend in South Florida. I think he's going to give us some huge inroads there down in the 305.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely going to be a good recruiting hire. He played at Miami, uh, and was drafted in the second round. So yeah, he's got some good connections down there, I'm sure. So yeah, that'll be a real help. It's yet to be seen the development side because he's still a pretty young coach. But I mean, UCF's pass defense was top 25 last season, so there's a lot more, of course, that goes into that than just the defensive back play. But it's certainly a data point in the right direction.
Yeah, and he's got a brother who I also really like, Tim Harris, who is at Florida State. I wouldn't mind him coming over here too because we hadn't mentioned it, but Brandon Harris actually was on his way to Florida State, the
Yeah,
coach's brother, and we said, "Nope, you're coming here." So we obviously threw a bag his way.
John Summerall stuffed Mike Norvell in a locker in his first week on the job.
Yeah, and Norvell better get used to it.
Yeah.
All right, next assistant, who I'm not crazy about, but we're kind of in wait and see mode, is Chris Collins from Kentucky.
Mhm.
I thought that we maybe should look at Anthony Poindexter
Mhm.
from Penn State, who's an established DB coach. Chris Collins seems like has some guys drafted, but I don't know, man. Just Kentucky kind of gives me the willies as a program. They just had their coach fired, so I do believe in familiarity. Brad White came from there, from Kentucky, and he might have advocated to have Chris Collins come with him, and that is helpful with scheme recognition, especially in the back end. Do you believe that was a good hire there, Trey?
I think it was fine. I mean, it's Chris Collins, at least at this point, who knows what'll happen over the next couple of years. But as of right now, that's not the hire that's lighting up Gator Nation or anything, getting people excited. But it's not a bad hire. It's fine. He's been a part of some decent defenses at Kentucky. He's been there since 2021, I think. 2021, 2022, Kentucky had pretty good defenses, but last couple of years has fallen off a bit. But that's just kind of Kentucky as a program in general. Ever since Stoops did the fake out where he thought he was going to get hired by A&M, and then the A&M fan base revolted. Things have really gone downhill for Kentucky since then. So I don't want to put too much blame on the worst defensive, like the worst play overall, on just the D coordinator or defensive backs coach. So I think it's a fine hire. Yeah, Kentucky's had a defensive back drafted in the last three NFL drafts. I'm not sure how much he was specifically involved, or if they were more cornerbacks. But either way, I think it's a fine hire.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much you can blame the assistants at Kentucky for what was going on because it seemed like every year Stoops might either go to a new job or might retire. They did not have a lot of talent there the last couple of years at all.
Yeah,
I can't even name a player from their roster, I don't think. Maybe except the one big D tackle they had that destroyed us every year.
yeah,
But they always seemed, in the earlier Stoop days, they always seemed to have a good running back that would just go crazy against us.
yeah,
Um, but hey, can't talk too much trash because they once again beat our butts.
yeah.
I look forward to us changing that though next year.
Heck yeah, man.
All right, Marcus Davis, just swooped him up from Auburn. Looked like he might stay there due to some contract things, but he is now a receivers coach and regarded as a great recruiter. Pulled
Hmm.
in multiple blue chippers and landed Cam Coleman a couple classes ago,
Hmm.
who was, I believe, the top receiver in the country. Um,
He was like
him and Jeremiah Smith.
top. He was like top three. He was number three, I think. That was the same class as Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. So, but he was either way, elite. 5 star. I mean, I think, he was 5 star plus wide receiver.
5 star
Um,
plus plus, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, he seems to be have a really good recruiting track record with getting Cam Coleman, and in the transfer portal too, getting Singleton, who was one of the top wide receivers in the portal from Georgia Tech, just last season. Uh,
Yeah, he's only had one guy drafted so far at Auburn, and Keandre Lambert Smith, who I believe was a transfer.
he
So
was,
he's got a bit to go reputation wise developing, but he's a guy that's really young.
yeah,
Um, he's got time. I think he's a good, strong young hire. Um, I believe in that hire. I think that's going to work out well.
yeah. I'm a fan of that one as well. And there's a chance pull Cam Coleman.
Cam Coleman and Dallas Wilson on the same field. Uh, are we that lucky?
Only time will tell. Only time will tell.
We'll see. We'll see what Santa brings, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the running back position, which looked like it might be filled last week, and then kind of took a turn with Derek Nix
Hmm.
going to Bama. And we let go, as people know, we let go a pretty good running back coach in Jabbar Jalouk,
Yeah.
who went to Texas. Obviously, found a great landing spot there.
Yeah.
Uh, we might have lost him anyway, honestly. If Texas offered him the job, and we didn't have a coach, or Summerall was here even, he might have wanted to go even if Summerall wanted to keep him. So that would have been interesting to see. But either way, he's gone. And we still don't have a running backs coach with now you have players announcing their intentions to transfer. So we need one immediately, I think. Um, it's going to be interesting the priority that is. If we want to get a guy in there fast, or if we want to get a guy in there maybe after the playoffs, if we're looking at a guy in the playoffs. I've heard or seen that we've interviewed Chad Scott, who was fired from Texas. So if we hired him, he could be here right away. Um, if it's possibly the Tulane running back coach, then we'd have to wait till maybe their season's over on Friday, maybe
Mhm.
Friday. They could also win,
Yeah.
but there's options there, I think at least.
Yeah. Yeah, there's options. I'm not crazy about the idea of hiring Chad Scott. I mean, he's only been at Texas, this 1 year, and Texas's running back play took a significant dip this year. And I mean, yeah, there were injuries and such, but still, it's not very promising. I really don't like the idea of just trading running backs coaches with Texas. Jaluk was really the only offensive staffer who, in my opinion, I was like, we definitely should keep him. I know there was a thing with LSU, and maybe that played a factor in him, either wanting to leave or being, pushed out the door. But still, he's just done such a good job developing running backs at Florida these last few years. It's been like the one position in Billy Napier's tenure that you could count on no matter what. So yeah, I really when we heard that he had been not retained, I thought perhaps that meant that Summerall just had someone in mind to replace him. Um, but evidently that doesn't seem to be the case. So hopefully we're not sitting here with egg on our face next year with the Texas starting running back. Hopefully not Jaden Baugh. Putting up
Don't
1,400
do it, Trey.
yards. And
Don't do it, Trey. I can't even think about
but
it.
I don't think hiring a running backs coach quickly matters that much. I think it's much more important to take your time and hire the right guy. If that's a guy who's currently in the playoffs, then you wait. I think the only running back that matters on our roster as far as keeping is Jaden Ball. Everyone else would be a nice to have. I'd like to keep Duke Clark, um, but Jaden, it's really just Jaden Ball. There's a reason why he had over 1,000 yards, and our second leading rusher had under 200 yards this season.
Yeah, he's a one-man show. Might be next year too if he comes back.
Mm-hmm.
We currently don't have a running back committed, and I'm not sure we're going to find a great one in the portal to come in and know he's going to be uh, the clear-cut number two, and there's a number one that's far, far above him. Um, that'll be a tough sell, but we probably could find someone decent there as well. All right, Napier's staff. They have not made out well in the John Summerall era so far. Only one coach from the on-field staff from Napier survived the cutting board, and that was Gerald Chapman, the defensive line coach, who I agree with keeping him. I think he is a very good young coach. Summerall tried to keep him at Tulane before he came to Florida, actually. I believe the players love him. I believe the defensive line has gotten better since he's gotten here. And he also got interviewed by the Bears last offseason, if
Mm-hmm.
people forgot that. I think he's got potential. And I don't know who Summerall's defensive line coach is or was at Tulane, but I do think keeping Chapman was the right move. And it's going to be, I think also that would help keep some of the players in the room there. Overall, I think it was the right move for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I like if it's about what the opportunity cost would have been if he hadn't been retained and he had gone and pulled some, I don't know, whatever a home run hire would be, then sure, great. But I think keeping Chapman was a good move. He's been thought of as one of the better coaches on the staff these last couple of years. Yeah, like you said, the Bears tried to hire him away and he stayed. Uh, so yeah, no, I agree. I think that was a good move to keep him.
All right. Well, as we mentioned, Chad Scott interviewed for the running back position. No word yet on if he's going to officially be offered the job. As
Mhm.
far as tight ends, there was also, we did see on Football Scoop that Trent McKnight from Georgia Tech could be the tight ends coach.
Mhm.
He's a wide receivers coach at Georgia Tech currently, which would kind of be an interesting hire to go from wide receivers to tight ends. We probably would be upping his salary, but I think that would be strong if we were able to get him. Georgia Tech had the number one offense in the nation at one point this season. The receivers look good. And then the edge coach, which has not been, we have three guys right now that I think will come over from Tulane. It'll be Bam Hardman for pass rushing coach, ed specialist, uh, Taylor Polk for linebacker, and then Jonathan Galante for special teams. And Bam Hardman and Jonathan Galante were have been both nominated for the Broyles Award in their career, so they're good coaches. Taylor Polk, I believe, is very young, but he's followed John Summerall almost throughout his entire coaching career, from Ole Miss to Troy to then Tulane. And I think there's a reason why we haven't really heard anything about those positions, interview wise, because those are probably the three guys coming for those spots. But it probably won't be announced till Tulane's season is over, which I think will be Friday. But I hope some. I think Summerall probably thinks it won't be. Um,
I don't know. I don't
Overall,
know.
though,
Did you watch his press conference? He sounded a pretty um like he has realistic expectations for the game. He's not. I mean, he doesn't seem like he's going in there with the mindset of like, oh yeah, we better win this. He's whenever he's talked about the game, it's been, I hope we play better than we played last time.
right? They did play Ole Miss before. Lost pretty bad. He
Yeah.
might be tired of being Kevin Gates and having two phones and having to be on both phones all the time.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, so I believe those are the coaches from Tulane that will come over.
Mhm.
And what are your thoughts on that, Trey?
Yeah, I agree. I've been hearing the same thing about Bam Hardman, and the special teams coordinator. I forget what you said his name was, but yeah, and I think you're right about the fact that we haven't heard about any interviews at those positions is a pretty good indicator that we might be pulling, those positions from Tulane staff.
All right, let's move on to the transfer portal madness going on right now, because it is not even open yet and it's already complete chaos. And we were seeing, I believe last week, a lot of contract negotiations took place with Dave Caldwell, the GM, who is on campus and has been. And the future of the sport is going to go through that avenue, which is the players negotiate with the GM at the school, and maybe not even the coach. Might even talk to the coach about their contract. That's very NFL like. But what I've seen whispers of is that factually, we were a 4-8 team, and a lot of these guys are gonna maybe ask for more money than they deserve.
Mhm.
And that's why we are maybe seeing throughout the past couple of days a lot of players leave altogether at once, because they were told, uh, they went to the meeting saying, here's what I think I'm worth, and Caldwell or whoever said, here's what we think you're worth, and it's below what you asked for. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
and
Oh, sorry, go on.
well, I was just gonna say, and I think that will continue to happen throughout the week, and we'll see more entries.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've seen what, like 6 or 7 guys enter the portal so far, and there's definitely going to be more attrition. Like you said, we're a 4-8 team. There's on offense, especially on offense, there are exactly 3 players now that DJ Lagway's gone. There's exactly 3 players that anyone really cares about keeping, and that's Jaden Baugh, Vernell Brown, and Dallas Wilson. Outside of that, no one on the team, no one on offense were real difference makers. Well, you could use it. I mean, Jake Slaughter, yes, he still played very well this year, but he's aged out. He's going to the draft, but yeah, other than of the rest of the guys who could stay, none of them were difference makers. So obviously, not all of them are going to leave, but outside of those 3, there's none that I'm going to be shedding any tears for. So it's a little bit. There's a few more guys on the defensive side of the ball. So Miles Graham is one that we definitely want to hang on to. He led the team in tackles this past season. Was second on the team in pass breakups with 4. Um, but but yeah, I believe he came out and said that he's definitely staying. So we don't have to worry about him anyways. But other than that, there were several guys from the 2025 class on the defensive side of the ball who were really exciting, who, I really want to make sure we hang on to. First of all, Jaden Woods. He led the team in sacks as a true freshman. He had a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, and an interception. So yeah, just a really elite true freshman season. So Jaden Woods is one we definitely want to hang on to. But other than that, there were a few of the young guys in that defensive back class. It was a really nice defensive back class in 2025. So between Ben Hanks, Javari Flowers, Hayward, Hilton Stubbs, I think defensive back is a position where you really want to stockpile high level talent. So I think it's important to hold on to those guys as well.
Agreed. There's a lot of young talent to be excited about. There's a lot of young talent on the team that's going to command a lot of money. So we'll see
Mm-hmm.
how that goes. But obviously, the headliner so far has been DJ Lagway
Mm-hmm.
at the portal yesterday, and we've seen a lot of information come out about what happened there. I don't know if we'll ever know the full story completely, but what I've read has kind of seemed like Summerall kind of questioned uh, Lagway's leadership and toughness, which I think is a fair question. He missed pretty much all of last offseason. Uh, and then during the season when he actually played, I didn't see a quarterback ready to lead the team. And in fact, we maybe lost a couple of games because of him, unfortunately. But I think it's a very fair question to ask, based off what you saw on tape, what he was going to bring to the table, leadership wise and playing ability wise. Because if you got a guy that's has great stats, great leadership, then you can work with that. But if you have a guy that um, seems like he's maybe got the longest yards there on his face a lot, which is that how you say it? Longest yards there, or is it 1,000 yards there?
1,000 yard stare. The longest yard is a football movie, though.
Right. I was thinking that's going to be the title of our offense from last year, the longest yard.
Yeah,
That's what
every
it's going
yard
like.
felt like the longest yard.
But as I was saying, I think I was okay if he went or if he stayed. I honestly thought he might stay and compete, but he's going to get big offers, so I'm not surprised he left either.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised that he left. I was hoping that we would hold on to him just at a significant price cut. Um, and that his camp is always going to say, "Oh, money had nothing to do with it." Money obviously has something to do with it. Like if DJ Lagway would have stayed here for I don't know, not free, but like a sweetheart deal, then I'm sure that the staff would have been happy to keep him. But just a player of his, talent profile from, being the number one recruit coming out of high school, number one QB coming out of high school, I'm sure he has certain, expectations and his representation, I'm sure has certain expectations for what he would be paid. Um, and yeah, like you said, just the production did not match that. So I think he still has a lot of talent. I think if he gets the right kind of coaching, um, then he could develop into being one of the best quarterbacks in the country, which is why I hope that we would keep him. But at the same time, I think it may be best for both parties to get a fresh start, um, a change of scenery for him, and an opportunity for Florida to bring in some guys to compete for the job because we were going to have to bring in someone from the portal either way, I think, because as we talked about before, we couldn't just you know give him the job and say, all right,
He couldn't be handed the
let's
job
hope
again.
let's hope you do better next year. It's like no, so we were going to have to bring someone in, but that would have been really tough to do with DJ Lagway still here, especially with how much money I'm sure he's commanding. So I think maybe the hopes to keep him were maybe some wishful thinking, but yeah, so I think yeah, I'm not too surprised that he's gone.
Right. I do think with the contract negotiations that have been going on, a price point was negotiated, and maybe it was less. I would bet it's less. Um, and his camp is kind of pushing the narrative that he did not feel like a priority from the new staff, which probably is because they didn't believe in him that much.
Yeah, I'm
Honestly,
sure I'm sure he wasn't like a priority. Um, just I mean, based off of the comments that John Summerall has made in when he has spoken about DJ Lagway or has when at least when he's been asked about DJ Lagway in the some of the interviews he's done, he's been asked directly a couple times about DJ Lagway, and he's been a little bit evasive and just said something to the effect of, "Oh well, we'll evaluate. Some players are gonna leave," and and so when he started saying that, I thought that was a pretty good indicator that maybe DJ was not staying.
yeah, I'm really not sure if Summerall was or is a believer in him at all because remember he did see Lagway in person last December, almost a year ago,
Yeah,
and Lagway threw 3 picks in that
yeah.
game when we played Tulane in that
Hmm.
bowl game. So maybe that was part of his decision, seeing him in person, but he also has or had a whole season of tape just now to go through. But either way, he's hitting the road.
Hmm.
And today, the day after Lagway announced his intentions to enter the portal, we've seen Aaron Philo from Georgia Tech now enter the portal, or his intentions to enter the portal
Yeah.
because the portal's not open yet. And that's going to be, it seems like that's the matchup that's going to happen. He's going to come here with his former OC, Buster Faulkner.
Hmm.
Georgia Tech fans online, let me just tell you, they were freaking out that this guy's
Yeah.
leaving. And I mean, freaking out. You would not believe. I haven't seen that many highlights of him online except one game. I
Hmm.
think he's very green, but he seems like a guy with a lot of potential, I'd say.
Yeah, that seems to be the vibe. He only played in he only had meaningful snaps in one game this season, and it was against their one of their FCS opponents, Gardner Webb, I think. But I mean, he had a great game. He had over 300 yards, 75% completion. Uh, I think he had a touchdown and a pick. But either way, I mean, like you said, he's a young guy, he's still pretty green, but it seems like he has a lot of potential. So if we bring him in and then bring in a surefire starter, uh, like a high level quarterback, then I think our QB room will be in pretty good shape.
We'll see if we have the money to do that because the reported contract for him was 3 million over 2 years. So that's if you're a math guy like you, Trey, that's
For
1.5
for
each
who?
for Aaron Philo.
What? Okay, we
Yeah,
better not we better not be paying him 3 million for 2 years I mean unless Buster Faulkner has that much faith in him to be the starter.
that's his guy. That's his
If
guy. He's
that's
tutored.
I mean,
You better be sure, right?
obviously Buster Faulkner is gonna know better than me. Um, but that seems pretty risky. That
That's starter level money right there. So
is starter level money.
with that, we're with what we're paying Philo, we'll only be able to find, I think, a capable backup with whatever funds we have left over.
Yeah. Yeah, so if that's the plan, I mean, I don't love the sound of that, but like I said, Buster Faulkner knows more about his quarterbacks than I do. So
Hey, I mean, he got the
as of
best
right
of.
now, for the time being, the staff is going to get the benefit of the doubt.
That's fair, and he did work with a guy, Stetson Bennett, when he was at Georgia, and he was a
Yeah.
quarterbacks coach who he turned into an all-star. Who I don't even know if he plays football anymore, Stetson Bennett, but
I think he's still in
dude,
Bruins.
he's still around.
I think so. I think he's a backup still.
Is he at the local flag league now?
Maybe next year.
Well, I think that Buster Faulkner, he's a guy that can identify and develop talent. Haynes King just finished, I believe, 10th in the Heisman voting. and that
Mm,
was the guy who some people thought would turn into a running back after a year or two at Texas A&M.
yeah.
So I'm a believer, like you said. I'm going to give the staff the benefit of the doubt until they show me otherwise. Um, Either way, we're going to bring in two quarterbacks. That's been the plan. Philo will be one as of now, and then the second one, obviously, Will Griffin's coming in too as a freshman. Had a great senior year, but I would hope the second quarterback is a veteran. It could even be an FCS veteran, but we need a veteran quarterback on the roster, in my opinion.
Mhm. Yeah, we just need our own Trinidad Chambliss. Those guys grow on trees, right?
Right, and I believe he's from D2, so
Yeah.
that happens all the time, right? A D2 quarterback turns into an all-star.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a surefire thing, I think.
We just need to bring in two D2 quarterbacks, and
One of them,
we're guaranteed that one of them is going to pan out.
right? You would think two, you'd have a great shot at one of them panning out. That's a
Hmm.
great idea, Trey. We should write in.
Yeah. Maybe they should hire me to run that player personnel department.
I think you would be an upgrade over Jacob LaFrance,
Yeah.
who thankfully is not there anymore.
Yeah, followed Billy Boy to JMU.
All right, well, it's time to get to our sponsor of the week, Copium Plus, now sold in supersize for those losing post-game press conferences. Get your Copium Plus today to wash down your team's bad play. All right, moving on, Trey. The 2026 playoffs. Florida has their schedule came out for next year, and how are we feeling with their chances to make it next year based off the schedule? And I'll read it off really quick. So they start off with Florida Atlantic, and then it goes Campbell, Auburn, Ole Miss, Missouri, South Carolina, Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Florida State, which is more manageable than we've seen. Miami drops off the schedule. Not saying we're scared of Miami, but we replaced them with basically an FCS school in Campbell.
Mhm.
Vanderbilt returns to the schedule. No idea how Vanderbilt's going to look next year, but I'm assuming they'll probably be more towards a bowl eligible team than a playoff eligible team without Diego Pavia. South Carolina makes a return. Again, they went 4-8 this year. Auburn returns. We haven't played Auburn. When's the last time we played Auburn? Was it 2019 under
Yep.
Dan Mullen? It's been a while. But Texas is still on there. Who else did we lose? Oh, we don't play LSU for the first time in a very long time,
Yeah,
which
not a
is
fan of
going to be
that.
crazy.
Yeah, making the playoffs is still going to be a tall order. I think it is. I mean, it's easier looking than our schedule this year, but that Auburn game is going to be really interesting with Summerall versus Golish. That's going to be a really fun matchup to watch. But I mean, Ole Miss. Yeah, who knows what Ole Miss is going to be under Pete Golding? Yeah, really no telling there. Let's see. Texas is probably going to be pretty good. Georgia is going to be really good. Oklahoma, I don't know. I can see things going either way because their defense is probably going to stay really good. John Mateer, there's a decent chance he stays for another year. So if John Mateer stays and they fix up their running game, then they could take a jump forward next year. Depending on how Oklahoma handles the portal, they could be a serious contender next season. And yeah, Vanderbilt, they're probably not a playoff team again next year. They'll probably take a little bit of a step back, but either way, they won't be. They're not going to be some pushover under Clark Lee. Under Clark Lee, at least I think those days are done. I mean, he's making waves in the recruiting world, flipping that number one 2026 quarterback away from Georgia. Should love to see that. And I'm sure they'll do some damage in the portal as well. So they might take a step back, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were still 8-9 wins.
Yeah, that stretch after South Carolina of Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma is pretty tough.
Yeah.
I do think Oklahoma would be pretty good again next year. but then it becomes a little more manageable during the final weeks with Kentucky, who will be under a new coach, Vanderbilt, who will probably take a step back, and then Florida State, who could be honestly a complete disaster next year, which I'm
Yeah.
totally here for.
Yeah.
I mean, this year was a disaster. Last year was a disaster, and then this upcoming year, I mean, who knows what they're going to look like? Who
It's
their
not a
coach
great outlook for them next year. It does not look good. It seems like almost their best case scenario is just looking atrocious again next year so that they can hard reset and get rid of Norvell.
Yeah, that might be the short term pain for the long term gain because
Yeah.
I don't. It's going to be bad for them next year. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful we're going to have a FBS school to open the year, but a very manageable one in Florida Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
They were not very good this year. Then another tune-up game in Campbell, who I believe they're FCS, but not a good FCS team. And then the first SEC game is Auburn, who will also be under a new coach, like you said, in Golish. And we really have no idea how they're going to look. They could be good, they could be bad, they could be in between. It really all depends on player retention and portal season, which has yet to happen or get into full swing, really. But I like the way the schedule sets up. I think I could see an avenue to make the playoffs next year, but it's going to require a strong start, which is possible. I can see an avenue to 6-0 out of the gate, and then we could maybe make it at 9-3 with losses to Texas, Georgia, and some other team in between. But a lot's going to ride on, as I said, for player retention, and that's going to come about in the next few weeks here.
Yeah, I like I said, I think making the playoff is a tall order still. But I mean, there's so many teams. So many teams are wild cards. So yeah, who knows? But still, yeah. I mean, you figure it's got to be 10-2 or better to make the playoffs, and even being 10-2 isn't a guarantee. Even for an SEC team, as we saw with Vanderbilt this year. So, I mean, if John Sarver makes the playoffs in the first year, then man, sign him to a 20-year deal. You know, he's the real deal. You know, but I wouldn't expect making the playoffs next year. But I feel like 8-4 would be, you know, a very solid year. 9-3, I'd take 9-3 in a heartbeat against his schedule.
So you don't think we would make it at 9-3?
I don't think we would make it at 9-3. No.
It would definitely depend what our wins were, but it would be on the very borderline for sure.
Yeah, the only way so this year it worked out to where there were a lot of like 10-2 teams and better. So it would have to work out to where there was like a couple really dominant teams and there were maybe like 5 10-2 teams, and so they just had to let in some 9-3s just for just to fill in the numbers. But I don't know. I think just generally speaking, there's not going to be 9-win teams in the playoffs. At least I hope not. I hope not.
Texas almost made it. They were number 13.
They did. They were,
and really they probably would have if they hadn't have lost to us. Like if they lost to a more I don't know, a more 500 team, like maybe who was 500 in the SEC? Mississippi State. I think they're right around 6-6, maybe 5-7. We were 4-8. I think we just really dragged them down that they lost to us, and the committee saw that and acted based off that. But to my point, I think there is an avenue for us to make the playoffs next season, but I'd put the odds at lower than 50%.
Oh yeah, and sure.
I do agree with what you're saying. 10-2 probably does it. If we went 9-3 and somehow, some way beat Texas and Georgia, I could see a way getting in. I don't think that's going to happen, obviously.
No.
But it'll be fun to watch either way. I think we'll see a much more exciting team next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
All right, moving on to our last segment here, our mailbag presented by ChatGPT. And first question from our mailbag is, which Florida school will have the best team next season, in your opinion?
Well, hopefully the Gators, but I mean, it's most likely going to be Miami. Yeah, uh, they've been, successful these last two seasons. I see no reason why they wouldn't continue that next year. To where maybe they won't be, maybe they probably won't be elite, but I think under Cristobal for the foreseeable future, they're at least going to be, very good. So, uh, so probably Miami because Florida State is still a dumpster fire. UCF is just meh, and USF they might be really good under Brian Hartline, but they're still going to be USF. So hopefully us, but most likely Miami.
And by best team, I also mean it could be just record wise too. Like if USF goes
Oh well,
10-2 in their conference, then technically they're the best team. I don't know if that really is fair because they haven't played Florida or Miami, but they would make the playoffs maybe if they went 10-2 or 11-1.
11-1 maybe, and it would still have to depend on the landscape. Nothing will be guaranteed, but I don't know. Who knows? Who knows with the G5 ones?
I think I'm gonna say USF just to spite Miami.
Yeah,
Um, I think they're gonna go around 10-2, 11-1. I'm a believer in Brian Hartline. Miami will probably be very good again next year. Be interesting to see what they do with the quarterback position. Obviously, going to go portal hunting again.
hmm
Cristobal is not a hashtag portal weenie like Billy Napier is.
yeah,
He's scared of it. But Florida, I'm not ready to make my official record prediction yet because the portal hasn't happened.
no,
But I'm leaning around 8-4 right now, as you said.
yeah. I would say I would put my over under at like 7.5. My optimistic over under is 7.5. I could see 7 wins or 8 wins. But again, that's optimistic. The actual over under is probably going to be like 6.5 or something. But yeah,
I think that's perfect. 7.5. And that's probably what Vegas will have, honestly. So maybe you should go move to Vegas and start working in that business.
yeah.
All right, next question. Finish the sentence. Florida football will be back when blank.
We'll be back when we beat Georgia.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Oh yeah,
It was.
yeah. I think Georgia is obviously the top dog, for lack of a better term, in the SEC right now, and they're our main rival. So the last time our team was thought of as being good and having championship aspirations is when we beat Georgia. So I think unless we beat Georgia, we're not gonna we're not gonna be seen as legit, and I don't think we're gonna be able to see ourselves as legit until we beat Georgia. Even if we lose, I would rather. I think I would rather. Okay, no, I don't know. Yeah, no, yeah, I would rather be 10-2 with a victory over Georgia than 11-1 with our only loss being to Georgia. I think the being in 10-2 with that with a victory over Georgia will put us in a better position.
Right. And I agree with you to be back. We need to beat the class of the SEC, which is still Georgia. And I would love to go 10-2, but if we go 9-3
Yeah, I mean that's purely hypothetical. I'm not saying we're going 10-2 next year.
I don't know, Trey, you sound pretty factual when you said that.
Yeah.
But if we go 9-3 with a win over Georgia, I'd be more than happy with that. Even 8-4 with a win over Georgia.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would take 6-6 with a win over Georgia. Quite frankly, next year.
Would you take 2-10 with the wins over Florida State and Georgia?
No, I wouldn't. No.
Hey, you get to think about it though.
I did have to think about it.
Well, I agree. When we beat Georgia, Florida football will be back. And also, you could say if we won the SEC, but
Well, I mean, sure, yeah, no kidding, yeah.
That might be a bit of a long shot at this point.
Well, I mean, it's just like, yeah, of course, if you win the SEC, you're gonna be back.
All right, and this is a little bit what we were talking about earlier with the playoffs. But are you in favor of the playoff expanding to 16 or against it in the future?
Definitely, definitely against it. I like there's a way that you could that they construct it to where I wouldn't like vomit at the thought of it. And that's if they did like made it like conference playoffs, like or rather worked in the conference championships to the playoffs, like how they do in the NFL, uh, where it was the like the top four in each major conference, like in each Power Four conference, play each other for their championship, and then those guys move on. So if they did something like that, then I don't know. I still wouldn't be a fan of it. I still wouldn't like it, but it'd be better than I don't know, probably whatever they would actually do if they did 16 teams. But 16 is just too many. There are not 16 teams capable of winning a championship in any given year. Um, there's barely like even with how even with as much parity as we have now, there's not 12. There are not 12 teams that are capable of winning a national championship in any given year. Like I said, even in this year where there's been a lot of parity, I think there's maybe like four or five teams that are capable of winning a national championship. So yeah, definitely against 16. They just need to 12 is fine. They just need to they just need to do 12 better. And they can do 12 better.
Yeah, as a football junkie, I don't necessarily complain about having more football, but I don't think 16 is a good idea. That's just throwing filler teams into the group.
Exactly. More football isn't better if it's bad football games. Like if we add oh yeah, great. We have 16 teams in the playoffs, but yeah, Oregon's playing JMU, Alabama's playing USF, and Texas is
Georgia's playing Old Dominion.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's yeah, that's why I'm not a fan of the more football argument because that would be the more football that you're getting. We're not getting more, Texas versus Alabama matchups. We're not getting more, Oregon versus Ole Miss matchups. It's going to be the trash matchups that have, 21-point spreads that no one's going to watch, anyways.
Right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Trey hates football, so make sure you
yeah.
down. So yeah, we both agree, not in favor of it expanding. And also issue I have with it is that it keeps going up. You're like, oh, we're just gonna cap it at 16, but wait, we're gonna move it to 18 or 20, and eventually it'll be a 32 team playoff.
Yeah.
No.
They're just gonna push it. They're just gonna keep pushing it as far as they can.
Right.
It makes them more money in the short term.
Exactly. It's a money machine. And when it first came around that they were going to expand it, I was hoping they'd go from 4 to 8 with 5 conference champions. They had 5 power conferences at the time. So 5 conference champions and then 3 of the other highest ranked teams or whatever. I thought 8 was a pretty solid number. Then they went to 12, and I've learned to live with 12. I've accepted it. I somewhat enjoy it. 16 is a no for me, dog, I have to say.
Yeah, I think eight would make too much sense, and that's why they didn't do it. That's why they skipped right over it. Because I feel like when people were like 90% of people were saying of serious people, at least, would talk about wanting conference expansion. They were most of those people were saying, "Oh yeah, 8 would make sense. 8 would be great," and then they just skipped right over it. So yeah, I think with the current landscape, with the amount of parity there is, 12 is fine. 8 would be better, but 12 is fine. But 16 would be gross.
Yeah, 16 is icky. All right, well, that's a wrap on tonight's show. We appreciate you all tuning in. We'll be back next week with more takes, more highlights, and maybe a few more bold predictions. But until then, stay loud, stay proud, and as always, go Gators. Adios from Two Guys, One Swamp. Thanks, everyone.
Heck yeah, baby. Go Gators.